Just to start, what is cybersecurity? According to CISA, America's Cyber Defense Agency, cybersecurity is defined as the art of protecting networks, devices, and data from unauthorized access and/or criminal use, and the practice of ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. What is cybercrime? Cybercrime is defined as cyber actions carried out through computer systems that violate criminal laws. This is increasingly urgent because cyber attacks are tremendously increasing from the increase in connected objects, the amount of devices being constantly connected to the internet, poor security hygiene, as unfortunately cybersecurity is rather slow growing in comparison to its cybercrime counterpart, and data is constantly increasing value due to its cruciality to companies and marketing. Industries are groups where products and/or services they offer are similar, and the size is measured by the total production of the products and services they offer, called GDP, gross domestic product. Due to industries having different outputs or the amount that they produce, they so forth have a differing GDP, as shown on your left by Alronzi et al. In Alronzi et al. 2021, they take note of the tremendous increase in malware across the different industries across the globe. However, they focus specifically on the academic sector and in Saudi Arabia. And to do this, they send out a questionnaire to Saudi Arabian students asking questions such as, do you use personal information in your passwords? How often do you change your passwords? And more. From this, they determined that cyber literacy is very high, as 51% uses personal information in passwords, 30% rarely to never change their passwords, and 92% never took any form of formal cyber training. In Matthew et al. 2025, major gangs will often specialize in one type of cybercrime. And here, they specifically focus on scattered spider, which relies heavily on phishing and social engineering, hacking through social deception. They created a machine learning AI prototype that trained on real security breach examples, specifically of scattered spider cyber gang, on the aviation industry. From this, they found that the accuracy of detecting was 82%, and the false positives was reduced by 67%. In Mendoshi et al. 2015, they compiled 50 million attacks into a data set from various sources, including surveys, news, and more. They traced it into charts, and they specifically used pie charts as it was the type of cybercrime to the industry, so forth, both for qualitative, and they found correlations between the business and attack type. For example, cyber espionage correlated most strongly with government, media, and law enforcement, while cybercrime, war, and hacktivism correlates more strongly with the business sector. So the gap in the research is that if industries correlates with types of crime, and types of crime correlates with criminals, or rather that criminals specialize in types of crime, how much do the criminals care about the industry? Do the criminals attack when the industry is growing or doing better? Do they have this investment mindset to attack when it's most profitable? So my hypothesis is that crime will increase during industry economic growth. The ratio of average demanded to average economic growth will vary significantly from one industry to another. So I take the cyber attack dataset from informationisbeautiful.net. Specifically, I take the top ransomware attacks dataset, and then I filter it by country, specifically the USA, year, specifically 2016 to 2023, and known ransom. I'd like to know anything left blank or with unknown ransom was cut from the dataset. And then I match this to the economic growth dataset, and I take this economic growth dataset based on industries measured by their GDP from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. I combine both of them by dividing the average ransom over the average economic growth for ratio D over G, demanded over growth. And then I'll put D over G into ANOVA and other statistics calculators. From this, here you can see the D over G demanded over growth industry ratios plotted out, which I specifically only focused on the academic, government, and healthcare sectors. I'd like to note that healthcare 2017 is excluded from the bar chart due to being an extreme outlier. As you can see in this chart, there's no extreme visual correlation, which is backed up by the quantitative, which the NOVA test returned a p-value of 0.4047, the F statistic of 0.9545, the variation within each industry to be 1.9 million, and the variation between industries to be about 0.95 million. So for the discussion, the p-value ended up being greater than the significance level, 0.45 4047 greater than 0.05, overall showing that's not significant, and it shows little to no correlation between the amount demanded and economic growth. With little to no correlation, there would be little to no causation. And the F statistics, 0.9545, ended up being very close to 1, and this being a ratio, the closer to 1, that makes it less significant. So forth, but no significant variation between industries. So forth, the variation within each industry was very, very close to the variation between industries. In fact, there was ever so slightly more within. So in conclusion, my hypothesis of cyber attacks increasing within industries' economic growth ended up being refuted, as there was little to no correlation between the cyber attackers' amount that they demanded and the amount that the industry was growing at the time being. And because of this, they don't generally show this investor's mindset of putting in their money or attacking when they seem to be most profitable. And due to this, it does not seem to be the most relevant to cyber insurance. I'd like to acknowledge my teacher, Ms. Jillian Ronaldo, my mentor, Ms. Jennifer Mulcahill, and the rest of my science research peers. These are my sources.
There are no questions for Alicia? Okay. My name is Ava Colon, and I will be conducting research involving intergenerational political influence among Latino families in the 2024 United States presidential election, under the guidance of my mentors, Ricardo Ramirez and Joseph Phillips at Notre Dame and Cardiff University, respectively. At this time, again, if there are any questions for Alicia, they can be asked right now. One of my mentors, Joseph Phillips, actually graduated from Holland High School. Fun tidbit, thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Rachel.
Thank you, Eva. My name is Rachel Anderson, and I will be conducting research involving the investigation of serum components on secretion system assembly, bacterial cell growth, and virulence in Pseudomonas aeruginosa under the guidance of my mentor, Dr. Paul Arnaboldi at New York Medical College this summer. Next, I would like to introduce you all to Sarah Willey, who will be presenting her completed research entitled Testing for Medium Range Model Locational Error